So I'm really annoyed about this. Prince Harry has such a cheek that he is now piling the pressure on Catherine, the Princess of Wales, to step in and try and save his failing relationship with Prince William. Not understanding that it's over, brother. It is gone. Finito. Just accept it. Catherine tried so hard for so long. You threw her efforts back in her face with your continued attacks, not just on William and Camilla, but on Catherine herself. So I think this is going to fail, but it does show just how desperate Prince Harry is. Now, this new reporting has emerged from Dan Wakeford. That is interesting to me because remember, for a long time, we've spoken about this before, he was the editor of People magazine and Us Weekly, which operated as a propagandist, effectively, for Harry and Meghan. These days, he tries to take both sides of the argument. But having spoken to both couples or sources connected to both couples, the big revelation from him is that Prince Harry doesn't even have William's phone number anymore. That is, of course, a mortifying revelation for the Duke of Delusion, especially given Wakeford goes on to say that even if he did, Prince William would not pick up. However, what has annoyed me in this reporting is that Dan Wakeford quite clearly puts all of the pressure on Catherine to change this. And it also annoys me because Dan Wakeford doesn't call Catherine, our future queen, by the name that she has asked us respectfully to refer her to. So let me take you through the reporting, you'll see what I mean. He writes, whether any of it can reach William is another question entirely. And the person best placed to answer that question is not a palisade or a diplomatic back channel, it is Kate. On social media, Harry keeps up appearances, filming family moments with Meghan, delivering keynote speeches at corporate conferences in Australia and Washington, staying visible while headlines about his crumbling philanthropy projects accumulate in the background. But behind that careful performance, the picture is of a man adrift, estranged from his country, his family, and the institutional purpose that once gave his life shape. A second insider who knows Harry direct is direct about his consequences. He regrets certain accusations he made because they made mending things with his brother quite literally impossible. Spare exposed enough family betrayals to keep the British press occupied for years. Harry accusing William of physically attacking him during a 2019 argument over Meghan mocking William's hair loss, characterising their brotherly appearances at William's wedding as a PR exercise. But it is what Harry wrote about Kate that has proved the most enduring damage. A palace source is unambiguous. William was fuming, but was particularly upset about what Harry said about Kate. He is fiercely protective of her and will find it hard to ever get over it and have a proper relationship with his brother again. Which makes Kate, according to Wakeford, the most complicated figure in this entire equation. She is both the source of William's deepest grievance, and according to those who know him well, the only person capable of moving him past it. The only person who has the ability to always get through to William is Kate, a source tells Celebrity Intelligence. But it's unclear whether she really wants him to. She feels as a mother that the two brothers should have a relationship. But her personal feelings for Harry are conflicted. Now, the royal author Christopher Anderson, who I don't think is a credible source, I'm just going to be honest about that, but Dan Wakeford is quoting him, saying that in his new book, he reported that Kate was the last senior royal to hold out hope for a reconciliation, but that Harry's public comments about King Charles's cancer diagnosis were her final straw. Wakeford writes, the picture that emerges is of a family in which the most emotionally generous member finally ran out of patience, and the most instinctively decisive member had already drawn his lines. Harry is aware his relationship with William will likely never be fully mended, the first source says. The lesson at least appears to have been learned. There has never been talk of other projects involving selling out the royal family again. They would consider a documentary about their life now. That format has been successful before if they could frame it in an interesting way. But Harry wouldn't revisit his relationship with William and Charles again. The central problem, though, remains. William has made his position clear. As he's got older and more sure of himself, he is increasingly independent and marches to the beat of his own drum, the UK source says. He has a singular perspective, and it is hard to persuade him to do anything he doesn't want to do, and he doesn't want to reconcile with Harry. He can't get over the betrayal. The one exception to that rule, sources suggest, has always been Kate. Whether she chooses to exercise that influence is a question only she can answer. Charles at least appears to be responding well to treatment. The 77-year-old announced late last year that his treatment schedule can be reduced in 2026, crediting early diagnosis and effective intervention. Buckingham Palace clarified that his cancer is not in full remission, but the ongoing measures have moved him into a precautionary phase. The news is encouraging, but it does not dissolve the urgency. A man who has faced a serious illness, whose treatment continues, whose cancer remains unresolved, has every reason to want his family in order before the window closes. So the situation is this. Harry is waiting for a call William has already decided not to make. Charles, the king, the father, the man nominally in charge of this institution, is reduced to dispatching a deputy secretary to repair what his sons destroyed. A channel of communication has been quietly opened between aides. A games in Birmingham has already been planned around the hope of a public father and son moment. And somewhere in Montecito, a prince is watching his brother thrive and wondering when or whether the phone will ring. And at the center of it all, the woman who could perhaps change everything is weighing her own hurt against her instinct as a mother and has not yet decided which will win. Harry left to be free. What he appears to have found instead is that freedom without the family and the structure and the brother he left behind looks a great deal like being lost. Paula Frolic of Paula Frolic Uncensored on YouTube and Substack joins me now. So, Paula, we have discussed before how Dan Wakeford is not a completely reliable narrator in all of this, given for many years he was very much the propaganda chief of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But you know my view on these stories is that we need to discuss them, we need to analyze, we need to be honest about what the sourcing is, and then we need to actually work out how much of what he is saying is fair. And I don't know about you, but what has sort of annoyed me about this is that it, again, is piling the pressure on Catherine, who really has done nothing wrong during all of this and found herself completely unfairly attacked. And this idea that in some way it's her responsibility to sort this situation out, I just don't really feel it is. Do you?
No, I agree with you 100%, Dan. First of all, I'm not sure what's new in this article. I wrote a year ago that everyone knows they haven't had their phone numbers. Everyone knows that there is to be no contact. I wrote a year ago that Catherine had thrown up her hands and said, you know what, I'm done. This is on you, Harry. And perhaps the only really annoying thing that is semi-new in this is that you are correct, that Harry is once again going through back channels, putting the onus on someone else to kind of make the overtures. It's the same thing he did with King Charles a couple months ago when he let it be known through a source, wink, friend, wink, that, he would be happy to accept an invitation to Sandringham. But of course, he would only go if his wife and kids were there, and that.
Oh, yeah, and if there's full security paid for by people like me.
And if he knew who else was going to be there. So it's the same kind of BS that's happening right now. It's Harry's wish list, like, oh God, maybe Catherine can get through to my brother. Catherine, can you do this? And doing it through sources, friends, whatnot. I call baloney on it. It's just really Harry stamping his feet and playing wish list again. It's absolutely obnoxious, not to mention. Here's the deal. We all know people who have had cancer or who may not be here anymore because of cancer. And we also know their number one enemy is stress.
Yes.
So why would you invite stress again into your life, especially stress that you do not trust, that have proven in the past hyper untrustworthy? And not to mention, why would you ever want Harry around when he's going to insist on bringing his wife, who once made you cry, then lied about it to Oprah, and always seems to have varying recollections. Not to mention, you really don't want his wife around who would sell clothing to the effect of what to wear to meet your evil sister-in-law.
Yeah, totally. And you are right to bring that up, though, Paula, because William does believe that stress contributed to Catherine's cancer. So that is really important to remind people of. Now, obviously, all of this does fall into the wider picture, though, of the civil war within the British royal family. And Tom Sykes reported this week that Prince William feels that King Charles is repeating the mistakes he made with Andrew, with Harry, and that William believes it is impossible to forgive Meghan Markle's false claims of racism against the King and Catherine. Now, Tom says this civil war is now dominating the monarchy. The MSM will not discuss it, of course, because they are worried about the sort of repercussions being faced by people like Tom, who was booted out of the Royal Rota for reporting on this. So I thought it was really interesting to look at this from his podcast, The Royalist. I believe it is. Why would William then try and be part of any reconciliation with Harry? It's like it's not going to happen. He's still demanding that his father doesn't reconcile with Harry.
Well, actually, to be fair, I did report this week that the odds are looking very slim that Harry will meet up with King Charles at all this summer.
I so hope you're right, Paula.
Yes, I think really what's happened in the last month, as I like to call it, the days of our Montecito lives, every week there's something else. So
yeah, there is.
These guys, they've just behaved so badly lately. And really, ever since they tore up the Sandringham agreement with that cover in People magazine, and really have just, with the monetizing of the children and the family, I don't think there's any way that Charles can meet with him, at least publicly. I do not believe he will show up to Birmingham at all, but that is also in a little over a year's time. So, of course, there's time to go. But here's the deal, Dan. No way can William or Catherine ever be around Meghan again, because let's say I don't like you, okay, which of course I do, but let's say I don't like you and I have to be pleasant to you. But if you feel slighted because perhaps I'm not as effusive as you'd like me to be, then what are you going to do? Say I'm a racist? That will happen again, because in her mind, if we look at Meghan, in her mind, no one could possibly not love her. And so if they're cold to her, it must only be one thing. And I think it's just really difficult, and it's really dangerous territory for them all. And right now, William is looking ahead. He's not looking behind. The fact of the matter is, before Harry left, it was laid out for him in no uncertain terms. This is what will happen. And he still said yes. And he said yes because, as we've seen, he thinks he can have his cake and eat it too. He can do whatever the hell he wants, and no one will stop him. And he may be right. They may not actually say anything. They may not take his titles away, but they will make them ineffective by never being in the same room with him again.
And Paula, you talk about the days of the Montecito lives. Well, if there had to be a scene this week, it would be like miserable Harry on his own with Meghan refusing to spend any time with him in public. Because you look at the events of this week, Paula, and it's like he was at that polo match with those really weird pictures of him sort of like looking forlorn on the grass. And then the book launch on Monday night for Jose Andre was super odd to me, Paula, because, I mean, this guy was Meghan's guy, wasn't he? You know, he was on With Love Meghan. And yet he's going with a whole load of sort of like, I don't know, like, I don't know, maybe I'm being harsh, but like maybe B-listers like Wolfgang Park and Maria Shriver and, you know, like not mega stars at this book launch without Meghan.
for showing up with the World Kitchen after the Palisades fire. And it did raise a lot of eyebrows that she was not there. And I think it just shows that, yes, they have announced that they are going to be doing things separately. He will be doing charity. She will be doing business, although she is still trying to do charity. Who knows? It's really throw mud at the wall and see what sticks. And by mud, I think you know what else I mean. But it is interesting that she did not show up to Jose Andres's party. That is her connection, her friend. However, I'm sure they're going to use the excuse if someone had to stay home with the children because it couldn't be one of the 4 nannies or her mother. It was just very odd. And I think it shows that I don't know how much they actually have in common. He loves polo. She does not. She loves socializing with the social types and doing the galas. I'm not so sure he really likes that. He likes hanging out with friends at a pub. He doesn't really have any friends there. He's got his bodyguards, and they're not that many.
And Nachos, who he was sort of watching forlornly, like he was the sort of like lover. It was weird.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Nacho's really his only friend around there. So he's probably like, get off your horse and come talk to me. I'm so lonely. I've got no one to talk to. That's not on my payroll.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's quite sad, the outcome of the life he fought so hard for that they did warn him about. And frankly, he could have still gone back into the royal fold had he not sold out his family and become the biggest hypocrite of all by acting like the press he so claims he hates.
Oh, of course, that's the thing. There were so many opportunities if he had acted in a different way. But the thing is, he was warned beforehand, and he was always told there are these certain red lines. And if you cross those red lines, it's over. And my God, he crossed them, time
Yeah,
and
he's
again.
just a spoiled brat, frankly. He wants what he wants when he wants it. And if he doesn't want it, he's going to stamp his feet and have his friends talk to the media and say, well, Catherine should do this. I mean, that's freaking baloney.
Totally.
Leave Catherine alone.
Totally.
I mean,
leave her out of it.
enough
It's like
already.
she was there for you through so much, and you, Harry, threw it back in her face. Now, Paula, I want to speak about this really. Oh, sorry, you finish your point.
Oh, no, not only did he throw it back in her face, but he actually blamed her for his Nazi outfit.
Yes, exactly. Oh, that was her fault. That was her fault. Yeah, that was nuts. There it is. We love showing that.
The latest royal discussion centers on renewed speculation that Prince Harry may be interested in rebuilding relationships within the royal family. According to recent commentary and media reports, Harry is said to be reflecting on the years of conflict that followed his and Meghan Markle's decision to step back from royal duties. Some reports suggest that he now recognizes the lasting impact those events have had on family relationships. However, it's important to note that these reports are based on unnamed sources and commentary rather than new public statements from Prince Harry himself. As with many royal stories, distinguishing between reported claims and confirmed facts is essential. Because of that history, some observers believe she could encourage future dialogue if both sides were willing. However, there is no confirmed evidence that Prince Harry has asked Catherine to intervene or that she has taken on such a role. At this stage, the idea remains speculation discussed by commentators rather than an established fact. The discussion also focuses on Prince William's reported reaction. Commentators argue that William remains deeply affected by the events of recent years, including Harry's television interviews, documentary series, and memoir Spare. Despite dramatic headlines suggesting William is furious or fuming, the transcript does not provide verified evidence supporting those descriptions. Instead, those characterizations reflect opinions expressed by commentators rather than official statements from Kensington Palace or Prince William himself. Another major theme involves claims that Prince Harry has been reflecting on the consequences of the royal family rift. Commentators suggest that the passage of time may have changed Harry's perspective on family relationships and reconciliation. Some believe he regrets how deeply divisions within the family have grown. Others argue that reconciliation will only be possible if both sides are prepared to rebuild trust through private conversations rather than public discussions. Without direct comments from Prince Harry confirming these reported reflections, much of the discussion remains speculative. Even if both sides wish to move forward, rebuilding trust would likely be a gradual process. The royal family has experienced years of highly public disagreements involving interviews, books, documentaries, and media coverage that attracted worldwide attention. Many royal commentators believe repairing those relationships would require patience, understanding, and a willingness to leave some disagreements behind. Others believe that the differences between the two sides remain too significant to resolve quickly. Only those directly involved truly know the current state of their private relationships. As always, public opinion remains sharply divided. Some people hope to see Prince Harry and Prince William eventually reconcile for the sake of their family and in memory of Princess Diana. Others believe that too much has happened for the relationship to return to what it once was. Every new report, whether confirmed or speculative, reignites debate among royal watchers around the world. That ongoing public interest explains why stories involving the brothers continue to dominate headlines years after their relationship first became strained. Perhaps the most important takeaway from this latest discussion is the need to distinguish between verified information and speculation. The idea that Princess Catherine could serve as a mediator, the suggestion that Prince Harry specifically requested her involvement, and the claim that Prince William reacted with intense anger are not confirmed by official statements. Instead, they are based on commentary, unnamed sources, and media interpretation. Evaluating those reports carefully helps provide a more balanced understanding of developments involving the royal family. The latest reports surrounding Prince Harry, Princess Catherine, and Prince William once again highlight the continuing public fascination with the royal family. While commentators continue to speculate about reconciliation and possible mediation, many of the story's most dramatic claims remain unverified. As always, separating confirmed facts from reported claims and personal opinion is essential when following royal news. Now we'd like to hear from you. Do you think Prince Harry and Prince William will eventually reconcile, or has too much happened over the past several years for the relationship to fully recover? Share your thoughts respectfully in the comments below.